I'm Ashura, and welcome to my story playthrough of the Tower of Althalaxx questline on Classic. Part of my mission is to go through all of the quests and read them out loud for people who like experiencing the quest that way, but also to talk about the story and provide some extra context and lore for what's going on so you get a more complete idea of what's going on, especially if there's things you've missed or just pieces of lore you don't know. My goal is to paint a complete picture of the story for you. And the Tower of Althalaxx questline is a semi-longish questline that spans from classic Darkshore to Ashenvale. It actually is probably one of the fewer questlines in the Night Elf starting zones that doesn't come back in Cataclysm. The entirety of this storyline, timeline-wise, happens in Vanilla WoW, and then that's pretty much it. But I figured I would make a separate video for this because it is a long multi-zone questline, and it's got some interesting lore in it, at least to me, because I really love Night Elf lore, but I also really love Highborn lore, and this has some super niche Highborn lore in it. So, without getting too ahead of myself, let's do the quests. There's a breadcrumb quest from Aberdeen that takes us here. Hail, young Night Elf. I am Alyssa Starbreeze, and it is my charge to protect Aberdeen from harm. To this end, I sent Balthuel Shadowstrike to observe the strange happenings around the Tower of Althalaxx to the northeast. It is past time that he should have returned. I worry that he's encountered some unforeseen danger in the forest. I would be most appreciative if you would find him and see that he's doing well.
How may I help?
Alyssa sent you? Then it is good tidings you bring. I have troubling news to report to her and had no means with which to deliver it.
Dear Madres.
A group of warlocks has taken up residence around and inside the tower. I would have returned to Aberdeen to report to Alyssa earlier, but I was afraid that I might miss something while I was away. Delgrin suspected such a company might be gathering the tower, but did not know why. A few scraps of parchment that the warlocks carry have found their way to my hands, but I need more to complete the puzzle. I warn you not to venture into the tower, however. The warlocks there are much more powerful. Delgrin, the guy that he's mentioning in the quest, is a human currently positioned at Maestra's post in Ashenvale. He will become a quest giver in the later part of this question. I do want to say, going into this, that the NPCs we're fighting are part of the Dark Strand, which we will learn at the very end of this questline actually turns out to be a branch of the Shadow Council. And the Shadow Council's whole thing is that it's basically a group of warlocks that are allied with or loyal to the Burning Legion, not to be confused with the Twilight's Hammer, which is a completely separate organization, more invested in the old gods and bringing the old gods back. The Shadow Council has been around since just before the opening of the Dark Portal. It was created by Gul'dan on Draenor and has persisted since then and popped up in many different forms, one of which being the Dark Strand here in Darkshore, the Burning Blade in Durotar, and so on and so forth. I even think during the Warlock class Order Hall quests in Legion, the Shadow Council also pops up again. I believe some of the quests are aimed at bringing it back. This branch of the Shadow Council exists pretty much exclusively in these quests. It doesn't really pop up anywhere else.
Hello.
Have you found any more of their scrolls? I should be able to piece together a larger picture of the cult if you can find them.
Goodbye.
Many thanks. This should shed some light on the warlocks gathering. The Cult of the Dark Strand. I've never heard of this group before. Having no knowledge of their history, it is all but impossible to say what their plans must be. There's no more time to delay. Warning must be delivered to Delgrin immediately.
Del Nadris.
My master, Delgrin the Purifier, is a paladin who has graciously offered his assistance in defending our forests from the forces of the demons and undead. He's taught me much about the Holy Light and the art of battle. Delgrin must know of the cult's operations immediately. You'll find him far south of here in Maestra's Post in Ashenvale Forest. Be swift. I fear the Dark Strand's threat grows with each passing hour.
Farewell.
Master Delgrin, it is as you feared. Your theory about the Tower of Althalaxx has proven true. A cult has gathered at the tower with many warlocks amongst their number, including even a foul satyr. They call themselves the Cult of the Dark Strand. I cannot imagine what vile purpose brings them together, but it worries me. Please forgive the terseness in which I've composed this missive, but danger lurks in the forest around me, and I can spare few words to describing the situation. I would deliver this message to you myself, but I fear to leave lest I miss some event of great import. Should you wish to know more of my observations on the Tower of Althalaxx, the bearer of this message has provided no small amount of assistance to me, and I believe she can be trusted. In haste, Balthul Shadowstrike.
Light be with you. For the Alliance.
You have some business with me, Druid?
Light bless you.
You don't mind my saying you seem a bit well-equipped for a messenger, I suppose Balthul wanted to be certain that his letter reached my hands. Let's see what he has to say. This is disturbing news. When undead or demonic forces are found, I help the Sentinels destroy them. At first I was unaccustomed to the manners of the Night Elves, but I've grown to respect them greatly as allies.
Be careful.
Balthul's letter is dire. This cult of the Dark Strand is a thorn in my side that must be removed. I've been dealing with some of the Dark Strand scum northeast of here at Ordilleron. One of their number possesses a soul gem that I believe holds the secret to the cult's power. Bring it to me, and I will be able to decipher the secrets held within.
Honor, friend.
Random fun fact about Ordilleron. It gets a few more quests in Cataclysm stuff and becomes sort of more of a full-fledged ruin. But there's, I think, actually the classic Succubus Warlock quest, if I am correct, has some lore about Ordilleron and says that in this city during the War of the Ancients 10,000 years ago, there were a pair of Night Elf lovers. And when they perished during the war, a great heartwood tree flourished from their corpses. And so this ruin in Ashenvale is just home to this extremely rare magical tree. Okay, I said heartwood, but it's heart's wood, technically. And as part of the quest, you retrieve a branch from the tree because you use it to, like, lure the succubus for the quest, I guess. Because it's, like, a symbol of love, because it was born from the love of two night elves, right?
Need help? Be careful.
Have you acquired that soul gem?
Go with honor, friend.
Some dark magic enchants this soul stone. Let's see what's trapped inside, shall we?
For the Alliance. Light
A
bless.
simple enough task to break this soul stone. In the throes of the Sundering, Amatheron was at the whim of the terror that gripped the land. There was little hope for survival. Athricus came to us. He told us that he could save us from harm. He cast a spell upon us to protect us from harm. When the shaking stopped, his true motives were revealed. We were trapped, and he was slowly draining our powers. There were hundreds imprisoned by his spell. Now only a few remain in their prisons. He would speak to us sometimes. He worried that his power weakened. Soon even we last of his precious soul gems would fade and die. Then we must put an end to Athricus and Arasin. Tell me, spirit, where might we find the other soul gems to undo his magic? His lieutenant, Ilkrud Magthrol, possesses a tome which might indicate the location of the remaining soul gems. Sargath fades into the mist. So, the main antagonist of this quest chain is a highborn night elf named Athricus Narasin, who's been alive since before the Sundering 10,000 years ago. And you learn going through the Bashalaran and Amatharan quests in Darkshore that he was personally handpicked by Queen Ajara to serve as governor of the highborn cities in Darkshore, but that he very rarely actually attended those cities. He usually stayed isolated in his tower, the Tower of Althalaxx. The reason that I really like these quests, or that this is like one of my favorite pieces of lore, is because we got additional context for this in Legion, of all things. So Athricus Narasin has a brother named Aloris Narasin, who's actually a Nightborn from Suramar, and his brother is involved in the Warlock class hall quests in Legion. And there's also a third Narasin, Andaris Narasin, who takes over as first Arcanist of the Duskwatch after Thalisra gets exiled and all of that stuff happens. We do know from the Warlock class hall quests that Athricus and Aloris are brothers, but it's not really quite clear how Andaris is related to them. However, considering that all their names start with an A and sound very similar, I want to hedge a guess and say that they're all siblings. And given that two of them are Nightborn from Suramar, I think that means that Athricus Narasin, this highborn dude out in this tower in Darkshore, is originally from Suramar. And that just adds some context to that tidbit of info that Queen Ajara personally handpicked him to serve as the governor of these towns in Darkshore, that she, moved him all the way out here to the edge of Kalimdor. There's actually a few other examples of stuff like this happening in Night Elf lore. We learned in Cataclysm that Lady Vosh was originally from Vashir, sort of close to the Eastern Kingdoms, and then decided to serve as Queen Ajara's chief handmaiden. There was another person from Vashir who also went into direct service under Queen Ajara, High Priestess Soralin. Don't actually know what happened to her, but there is a very popular theory that she became the Naga Lady Syricus, given that their names are sort of similar. So basically this practice of migration among Night Elves in the days of the old Night Elf Empire wasn't that unusual, and surprisingly there's quite a few examples of it, but I really just like this lore because I thought the additional context, or the additional callbacks even, that we got from Legion about Athricus Narasin having these siblings and originally being from Suramar is actually really cool to me.
Greetings.
So,
Be careful.
Ilkrud Magthril. Yes, I have knowledge of him. He's a powerful orc warlock that makes his residence at the Firescar Shrine, a place of great evil in southwestern Ashenvale. He had been little more than annoyance until now, and I had not dealt with him. But it seems that his time has come.
Light bless you. Well met. Go with honor, friend.
You look a bit shaken up. Are you well?
For the Alliance.
It was a grand thing you did today. You should be quite proud of yourself for having faced down a warlock of such power. Now let's see what we can learn from Ilkrud's writings.
Be careful.
The writing of the orcs is little better than the scribblings of a child. Many of my orders scoffed when I chose to learn their tongue, but I found it beneficial to gain further understanding of my enemies. From Ilkrud's scribblings, it appears that Athricus still possesses 2 soul gems, and they're being held in Nightrun and Saturnar, Satyr-held areas in northeast Ashenvale. Be careful out there. The Satyr's blood-soaked temples can be unsettling even for a seasoned druid such as yourself.
Bless you. King's honor, friend. Go with honor, friend.
Perhaps the Satyrs have been allowed to persist in the forest for too long. I'll speak with Alyssa about it when next I travel to Aberdeen. Nonetheless, with the soul gems destroyed, Athricus's power will be greatly diminished. We must seize on this opportunity to eliminate him and his cult.
For the Alliance.
Before confronting Athricus, it would probably be wise for you to consult with Balthul. I have no doubt he's been vigilant in his watch of the tower, and he may have some information about recent developments.
Ishno del
It's good to see you again. The strangest things have been happening around here. I'm glad you showed up. It was very strange. Everything seemed normal. Well, as normal as things get around here. And then suddenly there was a blinding flash of light from the upper room of the tower. Then came the screams. The cries split the air and lightning struck the ground from time to time. What's going on?
Goodbye.
See. Well, if what you say is true, then now is the time to strike. I believe Outtakes resides at the top of the tower. Be careful, though. He is surrounded by many powerful warlocks, much more deadly than the ones you faced before.
Del Ladris. I am listening.
Outtakes Narasin is an ancient and powerful warlock. Perhaps we should wait for Dalgrin's assistance, but he obviously had much faith in you to send you alone.
Farewell.
With the death of Outtakes, I hope that the demonic forces in this area will be driven back. I have no doubt that they will regroup and return, but then we shall be even more prepared to meet their threat.
Goodbye.
For all the work that you've done, you deserve to be well rewarded. Return to Dalgrin and tell him that Outtakes Narasin lies stilled by your hand, and the cult of the Dark Strand is beaten and scattered.
Asha Fela.
And you loot a journal page off of Outtakes' corpse. It never ceases to amaze me how easily hatred can be used to bend people to your will. The orcs and trolls were easiest, their hatred of the Alliance making them willing subjects to hear the message of the Dark Strand. Do they have any inkling of the greater power they serve? That infuriating paladin, Delgrin the Purifier, has been poking into our affairs in Ashenvale Forest, while his lackey Balthul spies on my tower, thinking his presence unknown to me. Delgrin believes us a minor threat. Just another death cult, perhaps. Little does he know that we are but one of the strands of the Shadow Council. As a child, I was once told of an insect whose bite could kill with ease, though it looked nothing more than a fly, a speck barely worth recognition. It is the things you dismiss which will hurt you the most left to fester. That's also a fun tidbit of lore, because when he was a child, we're talking like 10,000 years ago during the height of the Night Elf Empire.
What can I do for you? Go with honor, friend.
I knew you would be up to the task. I sense great deeds before you, and that you will right many of the wrongs that plague our lands. Bear my blessings, as well as this gift.
Be careful.
So, after this, in Cataclysm, I'm pretty sure the tower appears as blown up. So maybe it explodes. I guess maybe it explodes in the Cataclysm. I was saying maybe it explodes when you kill Outtakes in her acid, but maybe it's the Cataclysm. And there's not too many quests that pertain to it, except one that has to do with Forsaken looting the tower. And then when Darkshore gets turned into the Warfront, Outtakes Narasin pops back up, but this time as a ghost, a rare, pretty much, that you kill. And that's sort of it. Most of the Tower of Althalaxx storyline is consigned to classic quests. There's not really much more information or much more that we see out of it beyond those little tidbits, and then of course learning about Outtakes' relatives in Legion. So that is all for the Tower of Althalaxx quest chain. There are a few other classic quest chains that I want to cover in their entirety just by themselves. I think the Scythe of Elune quest chain, the classic quest chain in Ashenvale, and then much later, once we get closer to level 60, I definitely want to cover the Gem of Elune quest chain, because that one has such hugely significant lore in it, but we will get there when we get there. So thank you for joining me for this quest chain. I hope you liked it, and hope to see you in whatever comes next. I'm gonna die! Oh god, I don't like it. I don't like it here. Oh, there's a stealth spell! This is gonna hurt, huh? Okay, well, this sucks. It's fine, it's fine, everything's fine. Oh, how am I almost dying to a Void Walker? Yeah! Ow. My leg! I did it! I did it! My heart's racing, but I did it! Oh god! Oh, I don't care anymore! Whee! They're level 38! No, I don't like it! Nope, 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 no, 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 nope. Come on, bro! I resent this. That was scary.